All right. Good morning, peoples. Bruce with Targeted Wealth Creation back at you for Group D, Yieldmax declarations and the GOAT Misty. Okay, let's jump in here. In yellow, you can see the actuals, right? So Misty paid a whopping 308, not the $4 for October and November, but not the $1.85 for September. So threes and fours are a lot more. Um, Good news, bad news. I mean, it had been up, so it was down. This is the week, sorry, the monthly change, right? Only YMAX and YMAG get the weekly payers. The rest of the funds in here, the single stocks, as you guys know, they're monthly payers. So I tracked the change. So this thing was up in the $42.30 range last month when it paid in November and paid a whopping 442. So it's still a healthy payment of 308 and it's still in a good range. I mean, this thing's been to 45, 46. So 30s is a lot better when it was at 19 5 or 6 months ago. I don't know how many of you bought more. I know some of you did. So it's probably the only Yieldmax fund. Coney is okay that I care for. Um, there's one or two in here. So let's go through them. So what we're tracking all across here is what I've been doing is try to look at segments because if you go all the way back, I mean, Misty's only, they're not even at the year range now. They're probably getting close with December. I think March, if I recall, March was the first payment. So those 9 months are probably, look at 6 months. 6 months is $17.82, people. So yeah, you got your money back at probably the eighth month. I haven't looked at that lately, but I mean, just, the fastest by far to return its money. Coney was at the 11 month, I think. NVIDIA was around 15 months. And so you can see that this behemoth, um, I'd have to go back and look at the August payment, but assuming the August payment was above 220, it had already returned all of its money. Well, this isn't fair. This is 6 months. So anyway, sorry, I'm rambling on with some stuff, but just phenomenal, phenomenal. Nobody can call any other income fund the GOAT like Misty. Now it helps when BTC and MSTR are performing, no question, right? But 6 months, 1780, that works out to 3560 if you had a even 6 months on a stock that was at $20 when it launched. I bought a bunch of it in the 20s. So I know. I mean, I remember being up 150% when it was 35 on, well, that's not 150%, but I remember it being 35, even being 40, where I was up 100%, and I was getting, $3 and $4 yields on a monthly basis, but nothing lasts. I mean, it went way on up, came down, crashed below 20 for it. That's a crash, and then turned around and went back in the 40s, right? So, all right, so what do I track over here? So I take 6 months at a time and I use a 7-2. I just grabbed a number about 6 months ago. It's not even quite 6 months, right? But close, over 5 months now. And I put the price. Now, two of these funds with the average, this has only had 4 months on YQQQ, the inverse on the NASDAQ 100. This has only had three payments on SMCY or SMC, right? The foundry, the big chip provider out of Taiwan. So you see things though, $50.62. Remember, these later funds all have a $50 initial price. So this was at 50.62 on 7.2. It's now at 29.96. So what I'm tracking over here, let's take Misty. So it doesn't matter that it's down 5.9. At 7.2, it was $20.93. It's 36.40. So its NAV in 6 months, not even a full 6 months, is 73.91. What's the yield during that 6 months? Well, it yields $17.82 on 36.40. That's 85% annualized. And look at this, 159% total return. Pretty phenomenal. Okay. So now when you do every one, what did YQQQ pay? Down from 40 to 30, 42, 35, 33, now 27. So the yield is only 19.7 and it's dropped almost $3. So this drop is 14% here with only a 6.83 yield. So if you just were in YQQ for the 3 months, you're losing money, right? I don't know the actual, well, they're 4 months, but you could probably, but I used the same date here when reality it started in August. So that's the number we get. There is no 7.2 number. That's why I put red out here. All right. So AMSI, AMSI's done better. So what did it change from week to week? 34 cents. But look at the NAV. So we were at 22.42 on 7.2. We're now at 20.53. So when you got an 8% NAV working against you in 5+ months, even though you've had 20 yield, you get a positive 12.5. But I've seen AMSI do better, as most of you know, right? I'll take a positive over a negative any day. When it's negative in total return, that's pretty bad, right? I mean, when you can get 159, you can get 19, you can get 63. So let's go on down. So Aptly, 42. That's almost as much as the September, which was the high of the past 3 months. Nothing fantastic in the yield. This yield looks good. I mean, the payment on AMSI here, the last 2 payments have been pretty good, $1.17 and 86, right? So on Aptly, you've got a little bit better. You got almost a 20% return on the Apple income, Yieldmax Apple income. And whenever you have positive in both categories, it's easier to get a big number. Look at this. AIYY is recovering, right? I mean, this thing was down to like $8 or $9 and it's back to 11, but that's still down a bit from 1768, right? Just 5 months ago. And it had an 85 and then an 87. So it's a high payment for 4 months. You can see it trying to recover, right? But if you were in it since July, you're losing money. You're losing almost 16%. Yeah, you've been getting income, but if you had to sell it, you're going to lose, right? Reminds me a little bit of Ulti. Guys say, if something stabilizes and now you're buying AIYY at 11, probably okay, right? You didn't buy it at 1768, but it sucked for quite a while. All right, Disney, negative in total, right? Why? Because it went from 2074 down to 1726. So you're losing that 5+ months annualized. You got to double that number. So that's like a 32% NAV loss if it holds up. And yet you're getting okay. But look, this payment on Disney was down 46 cents, 51 cents, 70 cents, now only 36. Yeah, yield's not particularly high. AIYY had a nice 92% yield. Okay, Squee. The payment was down. I was expecting another dollar. Look at this, $1.27, $1.02, $1.66. That's a big drop in Squee, the former Block, the payment company. 38% yield. The big problem, again, $16 over here. Oh, sorry, guys. I take that back. It's not a problem. That's the positive. When your stock does better, you get both numbers, giving you a big 63.31% total gain. I love to see that stuff. And again, any one of these can flip, right? I mean, if you're buying Misty at 36 or like it was last month at 42 and it drops back to 20, which at some point in time it probably will, right? You're getting some great yield, but you're sucking on the NAV. So I hate to say it, timing these things has more to do. But if you really need the income, then just invest and hold, because the same way that if you wrote it from, say, $40, you bought Misty the first time at 40, wrote it down to 19, but then wrote it back up, and you decided to get out at 36 or 40, you've gotten a lot of payments where you're way ahead of the game. What you don't want to do is watch it go down from where you bought it and get rid of it. But you have to assess, where is the market, right? So the market is multiple markets. You have the overall stock market. Is that prone to going down? And then the sector I'm in, AI has still been thriving. Bitcoin is back at all-time highs. But none of these things last all through that. Okay, so going along here, let's do SMCY. This is a nice one. So it's got a 20% negative. Why? Because of this minus 4081. When you get killed over here, it's hard to make a positive. This is the 5062, that it launched in September, and it's only $30 now. So there's your 40% haircut. If you double that, that's 80. This is only a 6-month run, but it doesn't mean your next 6 months repeats what the previous 6 months. All right, YMAX and Y yield. You guys, not much on the payments, but you guys know that Group C is not a big contributor. You had more in YMAX, 13.9. You got more payers there, right? And a lousy 6 cents in YMAG. So I don't have these guys in my 6-month analysis. The main problem is you're down. So this was 21.23 on YMAG, and now it's 20.35. So you lost 4%, but you made 17 over here, but that drags this down to 13. So call them 13 each and then double that. So you're getting 26. I know you see bigger numbers out there, but look, this is pretty small for the yield this month, right? And actually, guys, I take it back. This yield calculation should be done on the 52 weeks. So my bad on this, right? I need to redo these. That should be times 52. All the monthlies. Okay. It's a little, better. It doesn't change over here because I add up all of the numbers they've been paid to date. But at least shows that you got a higher yield in Yieldmax. Yieldmax is probably a 40% payer annualized. It's not going to do that year in and year out, but there was a period where it was paying 40 all the time and higher, and these things have paid pretty well. This is still showing almost 27% annualized, and this had a drop. If this thing picks back up, it'll be in better shape. Okay, guys, that's what I got for you on Yieldmax. So you saw my Granite shares, you saw Defiance, and you saw Round Hill. And I'll do some more later this week, and I'll be watching Yield Boost to see if that thing launches. All right, have a great day ahead. It's FOMC. So I expect to see volatility there. All right, guys. Again, this is Bruce with Targeted Wealth Creation. Have a great day ahead. And we're now going into 1 week before Christmas. All right, people. Happy holidays to everybody. I'll be back to say that more before Christmas. Have a great one. Bye for now.